Hi, my name is Ken Davidian, and welcome to the second season of Organization Theory in Space. During this season, I'm making one video each week for every chapter of the Oxford Handbook of Organizational Change and Innovation, second edition, edited by Marshall Scott Poole and Andy Van de Ven. This video covers chapter 34 of the handbook, entitled Dialectical Change Models, an Escher-inspired reflection. The author of this chapter refers to the famous Escher sketch entitled Drawing Hands as a metaphor of how he imagines the 6 chapters that discuss dialectics in this handbook are helping to create a better formed description of dialectics and its key principles, which in turn are used to construct the chapters discussed in this book. The 6 chapters under review are grouped into 3 sets. The first set, chapters 7 and 8, discusses where dialectics stand with respect to other models and academic work. The second set, including chapters 9 and 10, discusses how dialectics can be relevant to different phenomena. And the third set of chapters, numbers 3 and 12, discusses how dialectics and practice relate to each other. The first set of chapters discusses how different dialectic-based models described in the handbook relate to each other. Chapter 7 discusses how paradox research, used primarily in management practice to solve practical problems, is different from the dialectical tradition, which is more historical and explanatory. He discusses the suggestions by some for paradox research to engulf the dialectic in a dominance approach, extending the paradox perspective of stable and opposite poles that create the paradoxical situation. The contradictions approach is advanced, wherein the opposing poles are dynamic and ever-changing. Chapter 8 describes the traditional Eastern yin-yang model of change, wherein the opposite poles are forever embedded within each other, continually and cyclically ceding opposition to the predominant position, the yin, until the opposition becomes predominant, the yang. Interesting and new aspects of the yin-yang change model include the concepts of momentum and timing. This set of chapters leads to the question of what scholarly traditions and models are most comparable to dialectics and amenable to their possible synthesis. The chapter asserts that scholars that hold dialectics to be a general approach to social life can then use it to compare it with other theories. The second set of chapters discusses how dialectics can be applied in a meaningful way to different phenomena, including organizations and social movements. Chapter 9 discusses how organizational change is being driven from the bottom up, coming from within, instead of being directed top down by management directive. There's a new generation of agents who have new and powerful tools of communication at their disposal, and these tools are being used to drive organizational and societal change. Chapter 10 focuses on the individual psychological forces as well as the societal forces that help create change agents. The dialectical motor at work in both cases might be implicit, but it's there. Discussion of these chapters leads to the question of how can dialectics be made most relevant to contemporary phenomena. A literal interpretation of dialectics limits the generalizability of dialectics, though through analogy to other situations, thereby limiting its applicability. A more liberal interpretation allows further development of the dialectical approach and provides opportunities for richer descriptions of different phenomena. The third set of chapters focuses on how dialectics relates to practice of organizational change. Chapter 3 talks about how practice shifted from a teleological diagnostic approach, in other words, identifying a problem and then specifying a solution, toward a dialogical approach, where differing perspectives are combined into a solution synthesis. The concepts of a sliding spectrum between two poles, or a duality, and the rigid opposition of two ideas, or a dualism, are given. Current practice includes a mix of diagnostic and dialogic approaches. Chapter 12 uses dialectic approach to focus on critical management studies, using a critical realist ontology that questions the underlying assumptions of current management theory and the unequal distribution of power and resources between management and employees. Chapter 12 argues for a bottom-up approach to organizational change, similar to Chapter 9, but finds a compromise situation where upper level supports the involvement of lower level staff in the change process. The question posed by these chapters is, cui bono? Can dialectical principles be more usefully applied to less privileged groups, such as employees? And can dialectics be also applicable to management or elites? Yes. Who benefits is the question, and dialectics can be used to enhance the position of management and/or employees, but this might encourage its misuse to maintain power imbalance as easily as it could be employed to level that same imbalance. Well, that's it for this chapter. I encourage you to refer to the previous chapters in the handbook that are used in this chapter as examples if you want more information. But I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and if you did, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you'll find out whenever new videos come out from Organization Theory in Space. Thanks! OT in Space was produced by IRL, which stands for Impossible Research LLC. IRL conducts process research on the topics of innovation and industry emergence within the space sector context. IRL also offers services of organization theory consulting, research consulting, and STEAM outreach. This video is intended for educational purposes only.